Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day on this Tuesday. It's been murky and cloudy. Haven't really been able to bust out of it today. It's held temperatures down, and some question as to just how much breaks up again for tomorrow. Sometimes we get in one of these patterns, especially in February, January, sometimes March, but I mean February tends to be one of those patterns where we get in. We just kind of get locked in some of this cloud cover, then it's hard to get on out. I think that could be the case again in the next couple of days. We try to bust free of that. Certainly had some drizzle out there, so the cloud cover suppressing the warmth today. We'll look at tomorrow, just how much that could clear, give you kind of best case scenario on those temperatures. And obviously, might have to back it down for reasonable case in some cases. We are going to be a lot warmer to end this week once we can break out of the murkiness you see behind me there on that Smithville camera. And we do expect that rain will transition to colder weather as we go into this upcoming weekend. And on that transition, we could have some storms, maybe a couple stronger thunderstorms, but still, luckily some questions there as the pattern isn't exactly right for that. Hey, temperature is still 60 degrees, we'll say at 6 p.m., 56 by 9. In a lot of ways, the cloud cover acts like a blanket. In the same way that under a blanket you stay insulated, keeps you warmer at night, but it also keeps that sun reflected out during the daytime. That's why we did not warm up as much for this afternoon. We're going 56 by midnight as well as 3 o'clock in the morning. So really, honestly, kind of bottoming out pretty close to where temperatures are at this point in time in some locations. Looking at those temperatures right now as of the 5 o'clock hour, we're 55 in New Albany, 56 degrees in Tupelo, 59 in Amory. Again, we've been locked in this cloud cover and temperatures just haven't busted up much. Because of that, we're about 10 degrees cooler, a lot of spots versus where we were yesterday. And the only reason, if I go back a graphic here, the Greenville is, warmer at all. Is because you didn't break out of the cloud cover yesterday, and that held your temperatures down. So just the fact that it's moved in through the area is the reason why you can see all the additional folks that did not have the cloud cover yesterday and what that's done to temperatures. Even on the wider shot, that an example of way conditions are is that cloud cover just has been very, very thick. And you can see even back to the early morning hours, if you look closely there, I want you to watch right here as this loop will restart here in a minute. You can see the edge of that cloud cover. 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. I should have just stopped at the beginning there to show up. But you'll see kind of through it there how they have kind of brighter white and gray. That's how far back to the east this low cloud cover built and really just has not eroded much today. That's part of the reason why we've had some of that drizzle. And one of the things that's, again, limited those temperatures for this afternoon. Latest look at Mama Justice Doppler radar. No precipitation, no real meaningful precipitation out there at this point. Nearest to that, any kind up there closer to, say, southeast Kansas, about 400 miles away. And even then, I wouldn't necessarily refer to that as meaningful precipitation out that direction there. Just not a lot of that getting to the ground. A couple storm systems back to the west. Again, we've talked about this, the multiple fronts we have coming through this week. The first of those trying to sweep through tomorrow. I'm hoping that that will do a more effective job in trying to break up some of this cloud cover that we have out there as we head toward the latter part of this weekend. The weekend, this storm system gets in here, kind of stalls out, and we have some rain chances for a couple of days, at least associated with that front, as a few waves move through the overall jet stream pattern here, and that'll eventually bring us an uptick in some of those rain chances then, including some of the storm chances to go along with it. But still, on the wide shot here, all the active weather back out toward the western United States. As we bring it back in here close into the Magnolia State, it is that cloud cover lingering, sticking around, not really budging as we go into and through this evening. Only really a few little bits of green on the map. And again, that could be some of that drizzle, like what we talked about last night. When you get the thick clouds like what we have, possibility again that could reduce visibility for early tomorrow morning once again, but we don't expect this to be more than, a 100th of an inch precipitation. That might be overdoing it. Really, it's just kind of the grossness and the drizzle and the cloud cover that kind of lingers with it. So I'm going to optimistically say we break out of this tomorrow, but I'll tell you this. There are some indications that could be a struggle. So if we stay socked in the cloud cover, it's more like 62, 63, 64 degrees for a high tomorrow. Eventually, I think we could get a little more sunshine in here, but I think a lot of us still locked in a lot of cloud cover. So we'll say low 70s again, kind of at peak temperature for tomorrow, and that is optimistic, assuming that we actually see a little bit of sunshine there, and that might be a bit of a struggle. Coming up in 60 seconds, we'll look at what that means for your SEC baseball forecast for Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Midweek series there ongoing, or game for tomorrow, 4 p.m. in both cases there. We'll have that coming up here in 60 seconds. We'll also look ahead at the storm chances later on this week and really looking toward the weekend. A first look at our strike model, where it's placing a couple of stronger thunderstorms in our area as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds right after this.
As we move into storm season, here's something most homeowners don't realize after a storm. Roof damage isn't always obvious. Wind can lift shingles, breaking the seal. Hail can bruise them below, and flashing around chimneys and pipes can loosen without you ever knowing. That damage may not show up for months. If your area has strong wind or hail, a professional inspection will help bring you clarity before small damage turns into bigger problems.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Well, thank you once again for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon. It's been kind of a murky and cloudy sort of day out there. And looking at Starkville, 59 degrees current temperature. Those winds out of the south, keeping that dew point there pretty high. Anytime that matches the temperature, you don't really see our cloud cover break up much. Certainly it hasn't today because of that. And likely to stay kind of locked in that as we head throughout the overnight hours as well. Go up the road there toward Maben. Similar picture showing up at this time. Lots of cloud cover. Again, upper 50s at that reporting station there. We head back out to Oxford, and that comes in with, again, more clouds. A little bit cooler at 55 there. Again, appreciate Phoenix Building Solutions for being a sponsor of us here on Mississippi Live Weather. And for all those various sponsors that we do have across the area. And appreciate Little's Jewelers and everyone else. Good evening to everybody on the chat there online. We appreciate you guys for your support, and many of you, tuning in with us multiple times a day. Autumn using the Mississippi Live Weather app to send in this picture here. And what I like about this one is, it came with a comment. It's like, hold on a second. Why is it so bright? This was actually taken a little after 10 p.m. last night, a sign of that cloud cover that really has been the dominant feature. It was moving through Grenada at that point. Sometimes it's just at the right height there, that you're at the right direction, that just looks brighter as it's reflecting back some of that light. In this case, is the lights from the city of Grenada, in all likelihood, what Autumn was seeing there. Mama Justice Doppler radar, all of our live scans not detecting any precipitation out there, just some ground clutter. And from time to time, we've had some drizzle, but no meaningful precipitation on this latest look here as of now, the 5 o'clock hour. So the satellite, this is our visible satellite. You can see how widespread, again, the lower level cloud cover, we kind of have the higher stuff going over top of it. As we lose the light of the day, that starts to be a little less effective, but certainly it's taken all day long for a lot of that to try to break up. And I expect, again, with that cloud cover, that drizzle possible again tomorrow, the temperatures optimistically improve. Here's hoping that's the case. As you'll show you on our IMPC school bus forecast, we're 57. Feel good about that temperature there for pickup, but by drop-off, it's possible we could be talking about still only some low 60s for some spots if we don't completely break out into some sunshine there. And I expect a lot of cloud cover, and in many cases, that'll be the case. We'll optimistically say 71, but don't be shocked if you're a little bit cooler than that. I think a lot of us probably will be. As we look there at the high pressure system that has kind of slid away from us, we find ourselves in a pattern here where we are relatively dry, despite the fact we have a lot of clouds out there. We do try to break this up a little bit on Futurecast. I think that's a little optimistic, trying to show any of that happening here. But a front moving in from the north and west will eventually do a little bit of that for tomorrow. I think it stays out of here until the daytime period on your Wednesday, which is why we stay locked in the clouds. A little bit of drizzle depicted Columbus back toward Philadelphia. Also some up toward Tippah County, closer to Ripley. When you see it kind of well spaced like this here, and it's all about as light as our scale goes, Don't expect it to add up to much, but it is going to probably reduce visibility in some cases for early tomorrow morning. So we're going 55 degrees in Grenada, 57 in Greenwood, 58 in Greenville, 57 in Belzona. Our normal for this time of year is 38, so way above that because of all the cloud cover. And again, that keeps us really locked in the murkiness. If we have any fog issues there, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will have updates starting at 6:30 a.m. on Mississippi Live Weather this morning, 6:30, 7:30 a.m. That's 3 different live shows depending on how things work for you. You can watch her here in the app. You can watch her on Roku as well as Apple TV. Does an excellent job. Love Maggie. Of course, she is a lot of times the one giving us the updates on those games of the week. And we'll talk about how the progression's going on that coming up here in a couple of minutes. And you're voting, kind of a tight race going on at this point here. But Maggie, she'll have updates tomorrow morning starting at 6:30 a.m. on what could be, again, a little drizzly sort of forecast to begin the day. Now, we do have this front moving in. And again, you can see some of that drizzle close to the Alabama state line depicted there about 9 o'clock in the morning. As the front moves in, we are hoping that this will try to kind of break up some of the cloud cover a little bit, but still noontime into the afternoon. You can see this version of Futurecast here based on our HRRR model. Aggressive on just how widespread and thick this cloud cover is. So we are hoping that maybe we see a little more sunshine, but I'll be honest, when I show you the high temperature here, I don't have high confidence we get quite to this level. So we are hoping, best case scenario, you see some sunshine. We have some lower 70s out there. I still think a lot of us get locked into the 60s again for tomorrow, which, hey, is way above normal for this time of the year, but obviously not as warm as necessarily will be, especially by Thursday. That's when we really do start to clear things out a little bit more. So cloudy and hopefully mild. I would still be taking a jacket to layer up. 4 p.m. first pitch there in Starkville, enough that by the conclusion of that game, it'll be a little cool on those winds out of at least generally a southerly direction there. From 71 for the first pitch, we're 69 by the 4th inning, and by the conclusion of that one, 66 degrees. Similar, maybe just a hint cooler in Oxford as Ole Miss takes on Jackson State for our midweek forecast here. And appreciate the good folks there. Carl Hogan Toyota for sponsoring our SEC baseball forecast. And we're hoping that part of that sponsorship is to keep things dry there. Both those games. I know they don't control it, just like we don't control it. But in general, we expect us to be maybe drizzly would be the way to describe this. So maybe not a non-zero chance to have a few showers out there. So couldn't hurt that jacket maybe repels water, but we're not expecting to really add up to much. As we go through, see here about 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow evening, a little bit of that drizzle, a few of those showers again around for the late evening hours on your Wednesday. Maybe this adding up to a quick 100th of an inch to maybe 5/100ths of an inch in the pre-dawn hours of early Thursday. A sign that those rain chances start going up from Thursday into Friday. And really late Friday and Saturday, probably one of our better chances looking forward here. Futurecast, again, keeping, the cloud cover fairly widespread and that drizzle around us. We're just locked in this cloud cover through Thursday. Sometimes we get in these patterns and notice what that does to the temperatures. It definitely keeps the low temperatures warm. That's one thing that I think the models do a great job of in this situation. Yeah, it will be 60 to start there in Cleveland or 60 in Greenwood. I mean, at coolest, maybe 58, 59 degrees for Water Valley, for Bruce there for early Thursday morning, which is just way above our normal that we expect for this time of year because of how widespread and dense that cloud cover is. And then there's that next front. So this one is going to be a lot slower moving. We're ahead of it Thursday. Again, mainly locked in some clouds. We have a couple of isolated showers that try to develop. And we see just a little bit of clearing here by around 3 p.m. I'll say this, if we had more sunshine, we'd be talking about a lot of 80s for highs on your Thursday. As it stands here, some isolated showers, Fayette, Alabama, back to Aliceville and Macon there. Maybe a rumble possible with this, but we do see at least a little bit of clearing, and that will boost temperatures by Thursday afternoon. Look at this. We expect those to get probably up to around the 80-degree point we show in Houston, showing 77 there, Eupora for Kosciuszko, for Greenwood there, 76 in Senatobia, South Haven, and Tunica, and 75 degrees in Clarksdale, 79 for Amory and for Columbus. So as our frontal system kind of nudges in, it sort of sticks around. It'll continue to be an initiation point for some showers and thunderstorms into late Thursday night. And most of those you can see there right below where that blue line is, out closer to Tuscaloosa by early Friday morning as we sort of shift our winds around to the north. But this is just kind of a brief shift here. What we have, and this doesn't do a great job on this, and I do sometimes dislike the way Futurecast plots some of the fronts on here, so I'll connect it up here in between. But you just as easily probably could have had our cold front depicted coming right back about there. Because what happens on the back side of this is this becomes more of a a warm front eventually, and then this warmer, more moist air will start kind of returning back on the backside of this storm system. As it does, you can see even those dots there indicating that more moist air kind of coming right back. So this one, while I depict this getting all the way through, I would still wobble this right back in and continue to bring some rain chances back, I'd say, by late Friday, and especially Friday night ahead of this next storm system that does have some legitimately colder air that will eventually flow in behind it there. So definitely watching that potential once that system slides into the area. But for your Friday, I think by afternoon and evening, we show some isolated showers starting to get going. But for most locations, those remain pretty limited in overall amounts and certainly not particularly impressive on intensity. So behind that front, a little bit cooler for Friday. We show about 75 degrees there for Aliceville and Vernon, Alabama, 74 for Columbus. We're 69 New Albany, 64 degrees Senatobia, and 63 for Tunica and South Haven. As again, some scattered showers continue lifting in. And notice how we have a little bit more of the orange showing up here. Slightly more unstable air arrives by Friday night, and we expect by early Saturday morning that could lead to a couple of thunderstorms. Now, how strong will those be? That just kind of comes back into here to how much unstable air flows out of the Gulf of Mexico on this. Notice here, back toward Jackson, we're 4 a.m. early Saturday morning. That's kind of the time frame here where a few of our projections say, hey, maybe there's just enough fuel for something to get going. Watch what happens with these as they go from Canton there up closer to Kosciuszko and out toward Ackerman by 5 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, this is not a particularly impressive setup, but I do show some storms, and not impossible to get one or two of these to be somewhat heavy, and maybe even a couple of strong wind gusts or even hailstones possible out of this. This is not a tornado setup, but this is a situation where maybe one or two of these get somewhat heavier for early Saturday morning. So that's the time frame we're kind of focusing in on. The potential of maybe one or two of these is a little bit stronger there as it moves toward Jasper, Alabama, and Coleman by around 7:38 to 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. Most of that threat is out of here, and I think we'll still have some rain chances do persist into the midday to afternoon time period, and that again could affect some of those SEC baseball forecasts for Ole Miss and Mississippi State on Saturday, depending on the timing they eventually settle in on for that. So 7-day forecast here has a 72 for Wednesday, 79 degrees for Thursday. Again, that 72 optimistic. I hope we've sold that hard enough that I'm not terribly impressed by that Wednesday chance for the temperatures to make it all the way in the 70s there, where 79 degrees is look toward Thursday, 71 is look toward Friday, and then 60s by Saturday. And those showers and thunderstorms early in the day, in particular, the ones that we're watching there, sliding through with drier weather as we look towards Sunday and Monday of next week. And yes, that means some low temperatures back there below freezing for the first part of next week. I know, hard to think about it, but yes, we are dealing with what is largely a very warm, very above normal pattern we've had recently. And so it should not be shocking at all that temperatures get back down closer to what we'd expect for this time of year as we look toward the extended forecast there. One of the things we'll look at in more detail coming up at 6 p.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center is those chances, or are those chances for storms. We look at Storm Finder and Rain Finder. Those two things kind of assessing, where do we have the greatest confidence on maybe some of those thunderstorms being a little bit heavy there. And we'll check the overall severe weather risk around the region for the remainder of this week. And maybe just as importantly, how long that cold weather lasts in the extended forecast. That's all coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 p.m. We appreciate everybody for popping in the chat here with us online and for all of your comments and interest and everything. Good evening to everyone out there, and hello. For the first time since January 29th, Lisa Reeves, it's glad to have you back there. Finally, power and internet. First forecast since power went out. Man, Lisa, I'm sorry to hear it's been so long. I'm glad to hear things are back for you. I know for so many folks, this has unfortunately been just such a long and arduous stretch. One of the things, the stress as well, one of the things they know that looking at power outages, and we noticed this earlier today as well, it's amazing to see that the numbers are very much, under control for the first time in, over 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We're down to 100 power outages, they're in Lafayette County, and the percentage is obviously very low out there for all spots, where we do have, a couple of spots still up in Benton, Tippah counties, but things finally closer to normal for that. So sorry, it's been such a rough stretch for so many folks, but thankful to all the linemen that have worked so hard to get the power back on. Hopefully this is one that we don't repeat anytime soon. You had 94, you had 2026. which was worse than the other, depends on where you're at. But in either case, not something that we want to repeat. We'll see you come up at 6 o'clock here on Mississippi Live Weather. Thank you for your support. And again, support those people who support us here on Mississippi Live Weather, whether it's True Shield Roofing, Room to Room we mentioned a minute ago there, Mama Justice sponsoring our Doppler radar, TSC Concrete. If they support us here on Mississippi Live Weather, let them know and use them and support them. And that'll keep us here, because ultimately without Tupelo Smiles and all the other support that we get from folks, we definitely couldn't do this. And a reminder that you can download the Mississippi Live Weather app if that's something that you have not done before. I certainly recommend you doing that there. Again, our live shows, we have those at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. I got to admit that I punched the wrong button there for a moment. So I'm going to bring it back over here so I can pop up our QR codes for those folks out there that maybe want to download the app that haven't done that. You can download it, again, free for all those different devices, for Android as well as iOS devices. Thank you so much. We'll see you coming up at 6 o'clock here on Mississippi Live Weather.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy